I'm here with Shelby Weldon of Bermuda at Captive Live in Chicago. Welcome, Shelby. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
And can you tell us what your role is with the Bermuda Finance Authority?
I am actually the Director of Licensing and Authorization, so I have responsibility for all licensing of any financial services in Bermuda, insurance, banks, trusts, and investment companies. But I'm also in charge of a unit that deals from a service perspective with the insurance industry, providing modifications to accounting treatment, approving auditors, approving actuaries, generally our service side of insurance industry.
Okay, that includes captive insurance companies as well?
Without a doubt, yes.
Okay, and I'm sure most people who would watch this video know Bermuda is the pioneer and innovator in the Western Hemisphere, if not the world, in captive insurance? That's correct,
yes, I would say Bermuda has a long, successful history in the captive industry. We continue to be the premier captive domicile. At the most recent release stats by Captive Review, Bermuda still topped that list with some 850 plus captives. And second, I believe, was Cayman with maybe about 150 less. So from that standpoint, we continue to be the #1 captive domicile and have seen and continue to see interest in formation of captives in Bermuda. So it was a great opportunity to be at this conference to continue to tell the Bermuda story.
Okay, Shelby, can you give us a little insight on the fact that the United States states have created captive legislation over the last 10 years in particular. There's now over 30 states with captive legislation. So those departments of insurance are looking to try and grow a little bit of a presence in this industry.
Yeah,
can you give us your perspective on how that impacts Bermuda and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, we never run away from competition and recognize that this is a competitive world, particularly in the captive space. I think for a number of years, you had very limited choices with regards to where companies could go and form captives. But as that sort of insurance solution gained momentum, as corporations saw that captives were a viable mechanism to address some of their insurance needs, then you did have that competition from various U.S. states. So historically, it was Vermont, South Carolina, and Hawaii. But you're now seeing, like you said, many U.S. states set up captive legislation to attract that particular business. But I think with increased competition, there's also an increased amount of captive formation. So we continue to hold on. It has not really negatively impacted Bermuda because Bermuda is blessed to also have a thriving commercial sector. So we are still seeing a significant amount of interest in forming both captives and commercial carriers in Bermuda. We actually have good working relationships with all the U.S. regulators, particularly from a captive standpoint, as we both try to protect policyholders and there continues to be cross-border issues. So you would have corporations that may have a captive in Vermont to address one need, a captive in Bermuda to address another need. And it's incumbent upon the Vermont regulator and the Bermuda regulator to work to ensure that there are no regulatory or supervisory gaps with that insurance program. So, we welcome that competition and think that we're well positioned to remain at the top of that ladder with respect to, that captive industry and Bermuda being seen to be the premier domicile.
Okay. Shelby, one last question, if I may. I'm curious, we are in a global economic extended slowdown, recession, depression, different aspects, but in most of our adult lives, this is one of the most significant corrections we've ever experienced. How has that impacted captive formations in the industry, and is it helping businesses be more competitive by adopting, captive vehicles and business planning models, or not? Is it slowed the growth, but has it also made businesses more aware that they need to be more competitive and they need to watch their cost structures and expenses more carefully, so it's helped the industry as well?
I think you're absolutely right. I think, immediately on the back of the financial crisis, being a credit crunch, there was difficulty not only in the captive sector, but I think in company formations worldwide. You saw a downturn, and Bermuda was not, exempted or protected from that impact. But as the years have passed, it forced us to be innovative in some of these insurance solutions that we were offering as a country. It caused the corporations, like you said, to have much more emphasis on their own risk management, on their own cost containment. So it actually has, like you said, brought in to play, I think, more business prudence with respect to some of those issues arising out of the captive space. But of late, we have started to see a trend upwards in formation. So, I think there is going to be, not only in Bermuda but worldwide, an increase in captive formation. I think conferences like this tend to actually educate individuals with respect to what a captive can do, particularly when you do have companies who have better risk management, who have better procedures in place that manage that risk but are not getting the benefit from a cost perspective in the traditional market, and see the captive as a way not only to address that insurance need, but also if they have appropriate corporate governance and risk management, it actually can be a profit center. So I think that element has now fueled or will continue to fuel additional captive interest and formation, not only in Bermuda but in the U.S. and all the other offshore domiciles as well.
Shelby, thank you for spending a little time with me. I'm very delighted to be part of this industry now, because it actually happens to be one of the little driving spots of job growth and innovation in legal and accounting and tax and financial sciences. So it is a little shining star industry growing not only in the U.S. but globally, notwithstanding the general economic conditions we see worldwide. So it's kind of really nice to be part of your industry.
Yeah,
and we appreciate you continuing to innovate and be a presence in it.
Thank you very much. I have had a long, successful career, so I feel blessed having been part of this industry, and will continue to help educate, the various markets with respect to what Bermuda has to offer and what the captive industry in general has to offer. So it's my pleasure.
Thank you again.
Yes.
Bye.